Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unveil Paranormal. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. We have an awesome guest here tonight, a good friend of mine that I met a little bit less than a year ago. He's a great guy. I did an investigation with him. It was a really good time. So I'd love to bring him here on with us. Please welcome Bradley Ferris from Indie Afterlife Society. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I'm so glad you got to join me tonight on the show. I know we've been patiently waiting for this date.
Yes. I'm excited for this.
Very much. So everybody, Brad is a paranormal investigator with Indie Afterlife Society, which you founded, correct?
Yes, me and a couple of my friends kind of were in a group and it just kind of fell apart. So we're like, why don't we just start our own group? So we started our own.
That's how all groups start. They're all in a group and then they fall apart. Right. And then you start a new one. It's great. So anyways, Brad has quite the history in the paranormal. And so I'm going to have him introduce himself to you guys first and just kind of tell you a little bit about his background in the paranormal. And if you do have questions, as always, feel free to put them in the comments section and we'll get to learn Brad and his story. So tell us about yourself, Brad.
So I started seeing ghosts when I was like 3 or 4, and I've always lived in a haunted house. So it's just always kind of been a part of me. So I remember talking about having ghosts in my house before it was cool to be in the paranormal. So then I went years growing up, seeing things, hearing things, and then I decided to go on an investigation. And the first place I ever went was Step Cemetery down in Morgan Monroe. Then I got hooked up with the group, and the first actual pay-to-play location I ever went to was Waverly Hills. So, and then it's just kind of, I live it almost every weekend. I'm somewhere usually.
Yeah. I love that you called it pay-to-play. I have not heard that before.
Yep, that's what we refer to it as. But I prefer it. I mean, I like doing private homes, but when I do a private home, I'm not looking for a ghost. I don't want to find a ghost in a private home because then that person has to live there with it. I want to find rational reason if I do a private home. But when I want to find a ghost, I go to like the pay-to-play places.
Yeah. You can have fun at a residential, but you can't have too much fun at a residential.
Right.
So going to those venues and those facilities, it does make it much more exciting because you're paying to be there to be entertained, and
right.
So it does, yeah. And with residentials, we're more focused on helping the client. So
I enjoy doing that, and I've had great success with it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go somewhere no matter what every weekend. And and from like 2014 and 2015, of those 104 weekends, I think I was busy like 75 of them. So sometimes
really?
I stretch myself out a little too thin at times, but
yeah. Are you going to get to investigate this weekend?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm going anywhere again until the Monroe House next month.
Oh, okay. I know about that. Yeah. Yeah, I have an investigation earlier next month in March. That's the next one I have planned. So I'm excited. I need to get back out.
I was just at the Monroe House about a month ago, so going back within a 2-month period is kind of exciting for me.
Yeah. Do you find the Monroe House? Most people I talk to feel this way, but do you find the Monroe House is very active?
After being there last time, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
That's
actually punched in the face by something coming up the basement steps so hard that my head actually bounced back and hit the ceiling behind me.
really, that's,
I was like 3 or 4 steps from the top and
yeah.
just nailed me in the face.
It wasn't like a bat or anything, was it?
No.
It just, wow. Did
And
you
then,
get a bruise or anything, or
huh?
were you bruised or anything?
No, it truly felt like my nose was gonna bleed. It never got to that point.
Wow.
And then later that night, well, actually at 7:30 the next morning, some of our guests had already left, and most of everyone else was asleep. And I heard like the loudest footsteps I'd ever heard.
Really?
Yeah. Plus, I've been to Monroe like 10 times, so I've had
Yeah.
other experiences too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So how long have you been a part of, or when did Indie Afterlife Society become a team?
It became a team in 2014.
Okay.
The first place we went to was a residence out in Brookville, Ohio, that was on the TV show A Haunting. We got to go
Okay.
after it was on the TV show and experience
Oh.
some of the stuff that they had happen, and we got some really good audio evidence from there.
Yeah.
A woman was killed in the house, and we actually got her. One of our female teammates asked, "Who are you?" And we got the woman's name in like a whisper. So it's really,
Really?
yep.
So, what did the TV show depict it pretty good, pretty fairly?
Yes and no. They wanted
Yes,
it
no.
more evil and
Mm-hmm.
more scary for TV than it really was.
Right, right.
But it was definitely had some activity in it.
Was the same family there that was on the show too? Are they
Yes.
still there? Were they? Wow. That's very cool. I can't say I've ever been to a residential that's been on TV. But there's plenty of residentials out there. A lot of people having hauntings, so for sure.
Yes. I know. I live in a very haunted house myself, so.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that because you have mentioned that a couple times and we've talked about it. So tell us a little bit about your house that you live in.
So my dad has owned this house since '73. It was built by my uncle, so our family's been the only people who've actually lived here. But we've had stuff fly off the walls. We've had one time when I was about 12, it was like a Saturday morning. I was on the couch, mom was on the love seat. We're watching TV, and there's a bag of candy sitting on a TV tray and the bag's designed to stand up.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it just falls over, and the candy in it rolls out of the bag one at a time, off the TV tray, onto the floor, rolls out about 3 feet, does a complete circle and stops. And
The
then
candy?
yes, and then then the next one does the exact same thing.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And then I guess I've had a picture fly off the wall in my bedroom. One time I was at work and my parents were here, and then every light in the house would come on and go real bright, and then go dim, and then go real bright, and then go real dim. So they called my uncle, who builds custom homes, to come check our box. It did it the whole time he was on his way. Once he got here, it stopped. He went and checked the box.
Huh.
Nothing wrong. He got in his car, started backing out. It did it one last time and hasn't done it since.
Wow. Is this the same uncle that built the house?
No, different uncle.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. So have you done any like official investigating in your house with equipment, or just like the history about your house, what may have been causing it?
I actually only live like 2 blocks off of US 40, the old national
Okay.
road. So it could be people traveling down the national road, because the land my house sits on was once a huge, like 500-acre lot when it was originally bought from the U.S. government. Because I have the deed to the abstract for the property, so I know every owner of the land from when it was originally bought.
Okay.
So, and I know other people on my road have similar hauntings to what I have. So it's got to,
Really?
yes, because there's an apartment complex up the street, and one of my friends was living in it, and she had to move out because she saw a dark, tall shadow figure, which I've seen here in the house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one time I was getting ready to leave and putting my shoes on, about to head out the front door, and I looked back to look at my mom, and this dark shadow figure just walked right behind her, and I'm like, "See ya." Didn't tell her. Didn't tell her what I saw until I got home.
Wow, wow. Greg's asking which state you're in.
Oh, I'm in Indiana. Yeah, I live
I,
in
I'm
Indiana.
not. I'm not familiar with that highway. It must be not near me.
Friends right through Indianapolis.
Does it? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I just know like the big interstates there,
Yeah, it's
like
just south of.
469.
Yeah,
Or not 469, 465.
yeah, it's just south. It's actually just through Indianapolis. It's called Washington Street.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's US 40, Washington Street. So, but yeah,
He's in Ohio, so 40 must go
it
east to west.
goes the whole. It was the first road to cross the United States.
Is that one of the highways that Baumeister traveled?
He used 70, but yes, he could.
70.
I missed that house.
Yeah. I've never, I don't know, because you got to investigate there. What's it called? Foxholler Farms, right?
Yeah, I had to go there 10 times, and I actually got
Really?
to swim in the swimming pool twice.
Really? Did you stay overnight or?
No, just usually till about 2 or 3 in the morning,
Oh, okay.
and then we'd leave. Yeah,
I don't know where Centerville is either.
I still have the homeowner's phone number in my cell phone, so. But
They just don't allow it anymore.
the city doesn't.
Oh, the city. Yeah, the city.
Doesn't allow it anymore.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
For saying he was running a business out of his house, so.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it could be looked at as a business for sure. So.
He got up with one of those ghost hunting booking groups.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it become a no-no, and the city didn't like it.
This must be one of your friends. Is this one of your friends?
I can't see who it.
Oh, you can't?
No, the text box is really small.
It says it's Greg. It says if you need a medium, call Brad.
I don't claim to be a medium, but I can do some psychic stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Well, when we investigated together, we did the Stone Mansion, and we determined it was April.
Right.
We think, and so when we did the Stone Mansion, you and I had talked quite extensively on mediumship and all that stuff, because it was really interesting, because when we investigated together, I don't know if you felt it, but I could feel like a connection with you, as if when you have multiple mediums in a room and they're kind of connecting and
Right.
not even like they don't have to be talking to each other, but your energy would shift, my energy would shift, the room's energy would shift. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you felt that, but I actually felt that.
Yeah. The basement at the Stone Mansion has a very weird vibe to it that they don't tell you about when you take the tour, from what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the building was nice. It was a nice building. Pretty cool. Has some historical aspects to it, which I prefer. But the most active part was the basement
Mm-hmm.
for us. Um, that's just where the energy just felt really wonky.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I misread this. Excuse me, guys. Greg, Greg was actually saying if you need a medium to call him, not to call you if you need to be him. But still, we're going to bring that topic up anyways because you are, I mean, what would you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself an empath? Do you consider yourself a psychic? What?
I can feel them more than see them. I occasionally can hear them, but I can definitely feel them.
Okay.
And if in the right mindset, I can actually channel through them. They can channel through me and they can speak through me. And my voice actually changes. And there's actually some pretty interesting video from Lake County Jail of it happening.
Yeah.
It's not put it out, but I know it exists.
Okay. That's really cool that you do that because I don't know very many mediums that do what I call mirroring. I call mirroring, I don't know if that's the technical term, but I do it too, where I'm talking to a deceased person and I start acting like them, sounding like them.
Yep. And mine's weird. It's like they can, when they're doing it with me, my body shakes really bad. Like I have like uncontrollable shaking.
Yeah.
But I can feel it. The spirit I connected to at Lake County Jail is really strange. Well, it's not strange because he was there, but he claimed to be John Dillinger. So,
okay.
But what's weird is I've also connected to him at 2 other locations too. One actually being my own house. So,
John Dillinger at your own house?
Yeah, I don't know if he knows that I can do it, so he can like follow me around. But
yeah,
he uses a very distinct voice. He refers to a lot of kid. I mean, it's weird.
Really? Now, John Dillinger, the whole story behind him, I mean, is interesting, but it's a well-known thing in Indiana that a lot of haunted locations believe that John Dillinger was there. Now, one thing I like about Crown Point is Crown Point can prove that he was there.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. But I don't know why I get like John Dillinger was and it had an exciting life and stuff like that, and everybody wants to share that. But yeah, I do think that's cool that you were at least able to connect with him in a place that's been proven that he's had it. Now I know there's people who've state that they actually have connected with him at other locations too. So I've never personally connected with him ever. So.
And what's weird is his crime spree actually started about 6 miles from my house.
Oh, really?
On US 40.
Okay. Okay.
Right in Irvington, which is a very haunted area of Indianapolis. So.
I don't know exactly where you're located, but there's a town that's right near Indy. I think is it Greenville or something?
I'm about 10 miles from Greenfield.
So the interesting thing is when I used to do property readings on a regular basis, I would get a lot of requests from people down in that area. And so it's every time a case pops up from like Greenville or that area, I'm like, of course, that whole area is haunted. I don't know what it is.
Greenfield's in the middle of Hancock County, and I just barely live inside Marion County, so it's literally like I can be in Greenfield in like 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's just so strange. It's got to be that area. It's got to be like, well, the highway is old and, so all that. So, yeah, I really like Crown Point too, minus the bats when there are bats.
Yeah. I have an amazing bat video of my teammate at Ashmore. He's walking around the second floor by himself, and a bat is like attracted to his IR light, and it hits him right in the chest.
Oh my gosh. I can't do bats. I just can't. I am actually going to Crown Point in March. That's where I'm going. And um,
I love Old Lake County Jail.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. So if there's a bat, no, Jeremy. Jeremy can tell you if there's a bat, I will be the first one to hit the floor. I dive. I last time I went and investigated with Jeremy at the Crown Point jail, I dived under the table because there was a bat. I don't do bats. So, but anyways, so that's cool. So do you have, other than Monroe House, what else do you have planned? Where else do you want to investigate this year, you think?
The only other one I have on the books right now is the new Indiana State Sanitarium out in Rockville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going there with my team's going with us, and we're hooking up with David York from York Paranormal.
Okay.
Taking a group of like 13.
Oh, okay.
April 9th, I think it is.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's one I have not been to yet.
Yeah, that was not new to me too. So
yeah. It seems like from what I've seen online, it's got some good reviews. So hopefully it turns out well. I haven't talked to anybody personally that's been there, but I've seen a lot of people post about it.
And once it gets warmer, I'll be hitting cemeteries all across the state because that's just one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy. I actually, the first time I don't know the people of York Paranormal, but I've actually heard that name too. And the first thing I thought of was Jeremy. So how many people are in your team?
It varies because it depends. Like, we usually have a good solid core of 5, but we have like 11 people, but there's usually so we have people who are part of the team that aren't as active as they could be, but
right. Oh, all teams have that. I mean, it's because they're great to come along a couple times a year, but they just don't have they don't have the availability to do it all the time like some of us do.
I don't fault them for it. It's just I'm just, if I can go, I'm gonna go, and I'll go ghost hunting with anybody, and I'll bring a full of equipment usually too.
One thing, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this on here, but I remember specifically you and I having that conversation about being willing to go ghost hunting with anybody that invites you. Because you and I joked about it. Because I told you, well, I kind of am the same way. I mean, I love going ghost hunting. If somebody wants to go, invite me. So I remember having that conversation.
Yep.
So when you do go ghost hunting, do you have like certain equipment you use, or kind of use yourself, or just good with a flashlight?
I use myself a lot. I do enjoy trying the mag light to see if they'll get them to come on and off. I'm actually having a friend build me a portal out of an amp and some guitar pedals and stuff. Hopefully I'll have that in the next week or two. So I had a friend build me his own version of a REM pod that has a 6 on it. That's a cable antenna. And then we've also modified that to also be able to take a copper antenna too.
Okay.
And
variety.
Yes. So I'm always trying to look for new things to try. I mean, what I would like to find is a way to like get solid data that then you can test and prove to see if any of it, because we don't really know if we're even asking the right questions with the paranormal in general. So
right,
way that we can actually get information and test it and get it to repeat, and then we can start determining, well, this causes this. Let's see if we can make it happen at any other place that's maybe haunted.
I think it's important for us to keep not just sticking with the same old, but yeah, and doing research, like investigating is investigating. Like you have to have a little scientific aspect to it and kind of see what works, see what doesn't. If it's accurate, because we do ask a lot of the same questions over and over again.
Right.
And
I found it at some locations, if you talk to them as if they're alive,
mm-hmm.
they're more responsive than if you ask, how did you die? Did you know you're dead? Those questions kind of like cut off the conversation.
Cut off the conversation, yeah. Yeah. I've never really tested that. If you go to one location regularly, I think it'd be easier to test that. You know what I mean?
I go to a lot of the same locations multiple times a year, so.
Right. So you can actually test that,
mm-hmm.
which is good. Yeah, I don't see that a lot. A lot of times I see people just jumping from location to location, so it's kind of cool that you do consistently do that. It's
mm-hmm.
a little bit different of a technique.
I think in 2020 I was at Randolph County Infirmary like 5 times, so.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I still haven't went once. No? Don't go, or?
Worth it. I'm shaking my head that you've not been, because it's definitely.
I almost went this January, I think. I got an invite to go along, so.
One time I was there, and I was getting tired, and I'm like, I'm going to go take a nap, because we have it till the next morning, so I'm like, I get in my blanket, I'm up in the beds that they have provided,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to face looking out the door, because I know my team, and they will screw with me.
Yeah.
Not paying attention. So I'm laying on the bed, looking out the door, and all of a sudden I feel a finger under my blanket go run it down the back of my neck, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I'm not taking a nap. And I got up and just continued investigating the rest of the night.
Oh my gosh. Do you ever get scared? Because you have a lot of you have a lot of paranormal go on around you. So do you ever get scared? Do you have any scary stories?
Not paranormal scary, but some of my teammates like to scare me. Let me think. The woods behind Fox Hollow is probably one of the scariest places I've ever been.
Really?
Yeah. Because there's all the energy from what happened at the house there.
Uh-huh.
Plus there's some old Native American energy still there too.
Wow.
It's just a creepy place.
So if I remember, I've heard people talk about Fox Hollow Farms. The woods, is there like shadows, or what do you see, or is it just what you feel?
There's paths through the woods, like the made paths, and you can follow the path and think you know where you're going, and you end up coming out somewhere else of the woods. I've had that happen to me multiple times.
Really?
I'm heading to where the burn pile was, because Herb Baumeister burnt some of his victims.
Yeah.
I'm I know where I'm going. I've been there enough times. I know, and then I'm like, wait a second, I'm now over by the mulch pile or over by the Monon or something. It's not in the spot I'm supposed to be.
Oh my gosh.
And you can there's definite shadow figure play there. There's a little creek that runs back there too, that there's a small bridge you can stand on and look up towards the house, and you can just see stuff darting between the trees.
Really?
Yeah.
You probably can't tell me, you probably can't answer this question, but I'm going to ask anyways. Does the people that live there, have they reported paranormal activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Dan T. Hall did a movie about it called The Haunting of Fox Hollow Farms.
Okay.
And it's about the current homeowner and all the stuff that has happened to him.
Wow. I'll have to look into that. That's because that is one location I'd love to go myself. I know that it's not really an option, but I do medium stuff if they, need a walk through. Yeah, so.
I have his phone number, so.
Oh,
But
let's be friends so I could get in there now.
they're actually still finding human bones in the
Are
backyard.
they?
Yep. And now
Oh
he
my gosh.
bought some of the land, so now there's housing additions right up against the property line, and every
Yeah.
dig a foundation, the homeowners
Hmm.
go and collect all the bones and then send them to Purdue.
Really?
Yep.
So maybe they'll test them if there's like missing people that haven't been discovered yet back there, you think?
Very possible. They know there's at least 17 victims there at the house.
Oh wow. That doesn't include the surrounding area, just the house.
Right, just in the property itself, they found 17 left thumb bones, and they know there's at least 17. So he killed at least
Right.
people at that house.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I know that he never served any time or anything because he killed himself. Right? He went to
Right.
Michigan or something and
He went to,
offed himself.
and the day before he killed himself, a Mountie stopped him because he was sleeping under an overpass, and the Mountie noticed in the back seat of the car it was full of videotapes because Herb videotaped all the murders.
Wow.
So they're in a lake in Canada, most likely.
Yeah. So they kept the videos and they probably viewed them too. I'm sure.
Probably.
Wow, that's wild.
And it was
That's
weird
wild.
that he had a wife and kids, and every time he did it, he sent them away to their lake house up in Wawasee. So
Oh, well, I see. I know where that's at.
yeah, but they've never even checked their lake house up there. There could be stuff up there too.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. That's wild. Ugh. It's. I think Indiana has actually quite a bit of serial killers, don't we? I mean,
There's a few, yes.
per capita, there's not a lot of people here, but there's not a lot to do. So.
Another weird connection between me and Fox Hollow is my mom actually knew Herb.
Really?
Yeah, she worked for a financial company here on the east side of Indy, and he had a second mortgage with them, and his house is on way up on the northwest side.
Yeah.
He would never come to the office to pay the bill, so her boss had to drive up to the house at the end of every month and get the payment. And her boss was always weirded out by it, and he's like, if I go missing, not knowing what was
Oh,
going
oh
on,
my.
he's like, if I go missing, this is where I'm going.
Oh wow. Wow. Well, her boss called that.
Yeah, and this was probably in like '90, and
Yeah.
he was caught. Well, everything was discovered at the house in '96. So
Oh wow. I can't believe it's not. I feel like every time I talk about this case, it feels like it was way before my time. But no, I was around at that time, so that's crazy.
yeah,
Um.
because when I was little, I actually went into my mom's office a lot before school
Yeah.
for seeing that name in her, because I'd help her get her file cards out and everything. And I remember
Yeah.
the name, and I'm like, that's a weird last name. And she's like, oh, that guy's really weird and really strange. And I actually one time was investigating there and got to meet one of the people who may have got away from him.
Really?
Yeah.
So they not know for sure if it was him? Or they just thought it might have been him.
Yeah. He was really into drugs then, and his friends have told him, you realize you were up there and you got away from that guy, right? He doesn't recall any of it, but
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So he was at the property or wow.
because what he would do is he'd go down to Indy and pick up gay men and tell them that, do you want to come back to my boss's house? And
Oh.
claim to be his house and party. And if you went to the pool, a basement area, you probably didn't live. But if you went to the apartment above the garage, sometimes you survived.
Wow. I keep looking over here because I feel like so much energy in my house right now. It's wild. Sorry, I'm like being paranoid. I'm like, it's like really dark in here.
My house all day, so.
Huh?
I said, like I said earlier, my house has been acting weird all day.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. So what kind of activity have you had so far today?
After my shower, I was putting on my undershirt, and I found a dryer sheet in it, which was, I mean, there's no sleeve, so it wasn't like stuck in a sleeve. And then I went on to put on my shorts, and another dryer sheet came out of my pants, and I'm like, this is just weird, and it's like weird coincidence.
That is weird.
Yeah, we have weird stuff happen all the time. So,
do you have stuff like you have stuff fall off the walls and stuff, but do you have items like move around?
Yes. Once my mom had a jar of face cream sitting on her dresser, like in the middle, on the edge, and we heard a noise. We were up front, and we heard a noise, and it was sitting out in the middle of her bedroom floor. And then once my mom has a jewelry box that you have to wind and open for it to play music. And one night in the middle of the night, out of nowhere, it just started playing music, and it wasn't open, and it hadn't been wound.
Wow.
And then once I was here alone, and I was coming down the hallway, and I glanced at my parents' bedroom, and they have a lamp that you have to touch.
Yeah.
And I witnessed it turn itself off. And I'm like, that's weird. That lamp wasn't even on. So that means that lamp had to have been touched 4 times by something to turn itself all the way on and then to turn itself off.
That's a lot. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's barely scratching the surface of what happens here.
Oh my gosh. You're taking me back to my day. My day today was weird. I wonder, maybe this is related to you. Maybe that's why. If you don't mind, I'm going to tell a little scary story of what happened to me today. So I was at work, and I have, let's pretend, these are my pens. This is my pens at work, okay? I was minding my own business. Only 2 other people were in the office. That's it. And I'm doing paperwork, and I look over, and this pen is in my office next to me. Nobody came in my office. This is my pen. This came from nowhere.
Nice.
Never seen it in my life. This happened. Yeah. Sorry. I told Jeremy and everybody on the things team about it. I was sitting there minding my own business. I look over, I'm like, the fuck is this? And I go out there, and there's the 2 people in the office. They probably think I'm fucking crazy because I've only worked there for 5 weeks now. And I said, guys, did you guys bring this to my office? I've never seen it ever. And they're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. Like I thought. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm done. I think my office is haunted. I'm safe.
We have things at my house, but we have things go missing all the time.
Do you?
All our forks from our silverware disappear.
We're forks?
Yeah, we're down to 4 forks. At one time, we had over 12. And
they don't end up in the yard, do they? Nobody's forking you, right?
I don't know, maybe, but there's no kids here. Not
right.
Like a child here for, let's see, my nephew's going to be 30, so in 20 some years, so it's not like
right.
And actually, in the last week, one of my bath towels has disappeared. I have my own special big bath towels.
Yeah.
One of them's gone. We can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think the dryer is gonna suck that in. You know?
So yeah, things go missing here all the time.
Oh my gosh. See, I always wonder, like, where does it go? You know, like, is there a secret stash these ghosts have? Or.
And I think one of the spirits here in my house is my deceased grandpa, who was my
Okay.
father, because he always hoarded money. Like, he was a child of the Depression, so
Yeah.
he didn't trust banks, so he always hoarded money and always was counting his money. And one time after my grandma passed away, he came and lived with us, and he had like a huge amount of money that he didn't put in the bank. So he's like, "Where am I going to keep this? Where am I going to keep this?" So
Yeah.
we're like, "Well, we'll put it in the dishwasher. It's not hooked up. It doesn't work.
Okay.
We're going to lock it. It'll be fine." So we get it put in there. A couple days go by. The dishwasher starts trying to turn itself on. It
Oh
like
my gosh.
hear the motor running, and like none of us had touched it, other than
Yeah.
money in it. So as soon as that happened, he's like, "You told me that damn thing didn't work." We're like, "It doesn't," and we moved the money. But then after he died, we'd start finding dimes
Okay.
everywhere. One time, my mom found a dime on her pillow after she'd slept on it all night long.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not like we're changing clothes and a dime fell out of our pocket. No,
Right.
these super weird places. And then one time she was changing after work, and it sounded like I was in my office, in the room I'm in now, in my office, and it sounded like someone flipped a coin, and then like coins just started hitting the ground. And she's like, "Brad, get in here." There was like 80 some cents of change just scattered around her.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't carry any, and so we don't know where it came from.
You could be like, come on, Grandpa, give me some Benjamins, you know?
And
Oh my gosh.
August, me and two of my teammates actually investigated my house for my birthday,
Okay.
and we were using the portal that I'm getting made. My friend had already made one for one of my other teammates, so we were using it, and we were getting responses that were like my grandpa was talking to us,
Okay.
and he's like, "You were in the Philippines during the war. What did you do? Or what kind of boat did you drive, or something, or
Mm-hmm.
pilot?" And a voice came through and said, "I drove it." And my grandpa was from Kentucky, and
Okay.
from the 20s, and that's kind of how he would have said it. I mean, it sounded
He
just like him. It was,
really.
yeah,
He growed it? He did what?
drove it. He used the word drove.
Oh, drove it. Okay, gotcha. Oh gosh, and yeah, that's always there when you're listening and talking to spirits. It's pretty telling who it is when you recognize their
Mm-hmm.
voices, or yeah. So
Yeah,
I know a lot of people say, well, they could be taking over somebody else's voice, but it's not as common as they think.
right. Yeah.
Swear, I just heard a voice. Um, my house was quiet for a while, and it's just escalated here too. So, and then now I'm talking to you, who's just surrounded by paranormal.
Yeah. I'm not helping.
No, I'm sure you're not. Yeah, and some people are like that. Some people are just constantly surrounded by it.
Oh, yeah. And another part of my like mediumship empath, when I was 12, I predicted a car wreck 700 miles away in a state that I didn't even know the people were going to be in.
Really?
Yes. So when my sister, her son, and his dad were going to New Jersey to meet his other grandmother for the first time.
Okay.
Before they left, I told my mom 2 weeks before it happened, I'm like, they cannot go to New York. They're going to be in a really bad car wreck. They're going to be in a really bad car wreck. Don't let them go to New York. I only knew they were going to New Jersey. I didn't know.
Right.
Well, while they were in New Jersey, they're like, let's go see New York. We're this close.
Yeah.
Got sideswiped by a cab in Times Square, and the car was so badly wrecked that airbags deployed and actually exploded and
Oh wow.
burnt my nephew's dad's face. My sister broke her wrist. Yeah, it was all kinds of bad. So then when I
Wow.
so then when I found out, I had like a complete meltdown. Like it I truly had an out of body experience because I remember seeing myself reacting to finding out.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, I like that's awesome at 12 that you could predict something like that. But that is terrible that it actually happened, you
Right.
know what I mean? But I totally understand what you're saying when I get those weird like whoa when something happens that I anticipated happening, but then you don't really feel its full effect until it does, and you're like, oh my god, I saw this happen. It was going to happen.
Another weird thing about me is like I'm always at home for like major tragedies. Like I was home for 9/11. I was I was home from work. I was home,
Yeah.
I was homesick from school for Columbine. I was homesick from school for Waco. I was homesick from school for Oklahoma City bombing. Weird stuff like that happens all the time too.
So what you're telling me is if I don't want to be a part of a mass shooting because it's America,
Right.
that I just need to call you and see if you're homesick.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if I have big plans to call you first.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I guess that's what I have to do. I guess that's so crazy. And the irony is some of those fell all on the same date for
Right.
different years
Yep.
for a reason, actually. Because I don't know if you watch a lot of the crime documentary stuff. I watch them, but like Waco is tied to the Oklahoma bombing, is tied to the Columbines.
Yep.
Like there's a timeline in the 90s. So
Around April 19th or 20th. So
yep, exactly. So
I remember Oklahoma City bombing vividly because I was home
yeah,
and I called my mom at work and I'm like, something really horrible just happened, and because I was pretty young when that happened, and I'm like, yeah. So that's just another one of my weird quirks that I home for major tragedies.
yeah. Waco was before that, right? Yeah, Waco was before that because of Timothy McVeigh. Waco, I don't remember Waco, but I vaguely remember Oklahoma. Um, I vaguely remember Columbine. That was in the late 90s.
Yep.
So, but I mean, nowadays all those schools are locked down. So any school that I've been to in probably the past 2 years, you have to go and like ring a doorbell to get in. So because America, I should not bash on the country I live in. I'm sorry to all my viewers that love this country. I'm a terrible person. I just have my political beliefs about all the shootings and stuff and how wild it is and how sad it is at the same time. And so yeah, they're locked down nowadays. So I don't know if school shootings. I don't watch a lot of news anymore. I kind of gave up on that a couple of years ago. But I don't know if that's still an issue. But I don't know. Why are we talking about this? Are we supposed to be talking paranormal? We just totally went sideways.
I brought it up because it's just one of my weird quirks about
Yeah, that's right.
weird stuff like that on me.
Yeah, so that is, yeah. Let's change the topic.
Yeah.
So we don't offend anybody. um, so, and we only have about 10 minutes left. So I guess my question to you, because you've been in this field for a while, is what kind of advice would you have for anybody who's actually getting into the paranormal or thinking about getting in the paranormal?
You don't need all the equipment. Use your cell phone. Cell phones something just moved in my house, by the way, behind the camera. So,
Oh, nice.
Cell phones take amazing photos. You can do audio recordings on them. You don't need all the fancy. And start small. Check out cemeteries. Check out legally. I mean, some of them in Indiana you have to be out by a certain time, but just go and have fun. That's my thing. I don't want people to think you're going to get rich off doing this, because that's not going to happen. You got to do it for your enjoyment. That's the important part. Do it because you want to. And then if you go with friends, because I have so many amazing friends now in the paranormal that I consider like family now. Like my team, we all call each other like brother, sister, everything.
Yeah.
Seriously, that close. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's great advice, because I think it is smart to start out small. So many people will buy all the equipment, they'll pay thousands of dollars to go to a big place,
Mm-hmm.
and then they decide it's not for them.
Yeah, and another thing I like to do is I actually have taught ghost hunting 101 classes. Like,
Okay.
Owners of locations have me come in, teach people how I investigate, show them the use of the equipment, show them how to use it properly, and then after that they get to then investigate, and I can like guide them. So I love doing that.
Yeah, I think teaching is probably a really fun part about when you get, experience under your belt. I remember, being one of the students, basically. I didn't take a ghost hunting 101 class, but when I first started ghost hunting, the first investigation I did, they were teaching how to ghost hunt and stuff like that. So I got to be a little bit of a student that first time around too, and it's so helpful to have people in the field like that can lead new people into the field. So I think that's great.
That's why I was at Randolph County so much in 2020. I was taking groups of veterinary technicians and vets and teaching them how to ghost hunt, because one of my teammates is a high up in a vet company, so
Okay.
that's what they were doing as outing. So I was getting to teach them how to ghost hunt.
That is so fun. Yeah, what do you think? Because you and I both use equipment and ghost hunt, and you and I both use ourselves. What do you think is more fun to teach? I think mediumship's more fun to teach, because it's just what I'm more familiar with. But what do you think?
I haven't tried to teach anyone how to become a medium yet, because I learn it myself to make sure that I'm doing it. Because I question myself: am I really doing this? Am I really seeing this? And so I haven't tried teaching how to do that yet, but I would like to. So my thing is, I've taught them how to use the equipment and what type of stuff I recommend, like what voice recorder I recommend over this, and the reasons why.
Right.
And
that's awesome.
One of the first rules I always tell them is, don't whisper on a ghost hunt. If you're going to talk on a ghost hunt, use your own voice, because a whisper on a ghost hunt is going to sound like an EVP. And I don't want to have to keep listening to my audio because someone's whispering in a adjacent room.
Right, yeah. And I think we all accidentally do that sometimes. But yeah, it's a good reminder not to be whispering. I mean, and if you do talk, first off, don't be talking a bunch when people are trying to do EVPs, for one. Usually don't be talking too much over. But it's really good that if you do make noises and stuff too, some people will announce it,
Right, yeah.
So that the EVP, you can go back and be like, if you're shuffling your feet, and be like, that was me, or, just note it.
If you're making noise, tag it in the audio so then they can move along. I actually was doing an EVP session once, and one of the people I was with was eating Pringles. and they
Oh my gosh.
offered us some in the middle of the EVP session. So we're just going to end this now before
Oh
I think I
my gosh.
should.
I'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be so frustrated.
More harsher words than that, but yes.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna wrap this up here since it's almost 8 o'clock. That's when the show ended. I don't know if I told you that, but if anybody wants to get in contact with you or your team, where can they go?
The Indie Afterlife page or my personal Facebook page is easy. Brad Ferris. I'm probably in a Batman hat or T-shirt in the picture because I'm kind of like the Batman guy too. So
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, Indie Afterlife, Gray Area Paranormal Project is one
Okay.
of my projects I'm working on. So
Okay. And do you guys offer? Are you guys still? Are you just investigating? Or are you going to offer residentials or anything like that if anybody needs help?
potentials when they come up. I did one a couple months ago and made the guy completely ecstatic because I solved his entire ghost issue with it was walnuts hitting his roof.
Oh wow.
On his roof, and it was right when the walnuts were falling, and he had a walnut tree,
Yeah.
and he couldn't hear them during the daytime because his TV was so loud. So that's why he only heard them at night.
Right.
So, but yes,
Yeah.
they'll be residentials. I have a couple that I'm trying to get them to set a date with.
Commit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well that's awesome. So just so you guys know, then that's a way to reach out to Brad or his team. I do have descriptions, or I do have links in the description, so be sure to go there and follow him. Also, I do want to thank you, Brad, for being a part of the show.
very welcome.
I greatly, greatly appreciate it so much. Thank you, everybody that tuned in and joined us and listening to Brad and his story and his haunted house and his team. I love it. I love it. If you like what you see here, Unveil's links are also in the description below. So please be sure to go and show me some love. Okay, I appreciate it. All right, everybody, have a good night. Bye.